Shocking scenes erupted in Atlanta last night as love and hip-hop star Kirk Frost was allegedly taken into custody following a fiery altercation with none other than his wife, Rashida. Fans are in utter disbelief as reports flood social media, claiming the longtime couple's relationship may have finally reached a breaking point, and this time, there was no camera crew to cut to commercial, just raw, unfiltered chaos. According to an anonymous eyewitness who was present at the Frost family home, screams could be heard echoing through the upscale neighborhood around 2 a.m. when what began as a heated argument spiraled into something far more sinister. "I heard glass shattering, doors slamming, then a loud thump," the neighbor recounted. "Next thing I know, cops were swarming the driveway." Yes, you heard that right, Kirk Frost, the same man who once fought to win Rashida back after a scandal that shook their marriage to its core, was seen being escorted out in handcuffs, looking visibly shaken, shirt half-torn and face flushed with rage. And Rashida, sources say she was in tears, trembling as she spoke with officers, flanked by her son Kai and close friend Candy Burris, who reportedly arrived within minutes of the incident. While no official charges have been confirmed, early reports suggest aggravated assault and domestic battery are being investigated, and if true, this could be the final chapter in one of reality TV's most tumultuous love stories. Fans are flooding social media with shock and heartbreak. Some are screaming, "Not Kirk and Rashida," while others are pointing to years of unresolved tension, past infidelities, and public humiliations that never quite healed. Could this be the explosive end everyone feared but hoped would never come? Is Rashida finally done playing the loyal wife role? Or is this just another storm in the Frost's never-ending saga of love, betrayal, and redemption? Grab your tea, fam, because what you're about to hear next will leave you speechless. This isn't just another reality show plot twist. This is real life spiraling out of control, and the drama is just getting started. Let's dive deep into what really happened behind closed doors and why the entire PHAOP empire may never be the same again. It all started with a single, muffled argument, one that neighbors say had become far too common in the Frost household over the last few months. Though to the outside world, Kirk and Rashida appeared to be patching things up, rebuilding their empire, and showcasing a united front for the cameras. Insiders now reveal that tensions had been bubbling beneath the surface like a volcano waiting to erupt. It was around 11:37 p.m. when sources say Kirk returned home visibly agitated, having stormed out earlier in the day after what one close friend described as a high-stakes business meeting gone left. The moment he entered the home, surveillance cameras from a nearby property captured the sound of the front door slamming, a loud, jarring echo that set the tone for what would become a night of chaos. Rashida, who had just returned from a late-night meeting with her glam team prepping for her new fashion line's launch, was already in her home office when Kirk barged in. Eyewitnesses who have reviewed audio clips from nearby Ring devices say voices were raised almost instantly, though the content of their fight remains officially unverified. Several sources close to the family confirm that the argument centered around Kirk's rumored involvement with a young aspiring rapper who had recently been seen too many times at Frost Bistro. Friends had warned Rashida that something was off. The girl, barely 24, had been appearing in Kirk's social media stories more than fans were comfortable with, and while Rashida had initially brushed off the gossip, calling it internet noise, last week she reportedly confronted Kirk about a secret meeting he'd attended at an Atlanta hotel. The same hotel where the aspiring rapper had checked in under an alias. Kirk denied everything. Of course he did, but the seed of doubt had been planted. And on that night, when emotions were already running high, the subject came up again, this time with more evidence. Rashida had received a DM from a fan who claimed to be the girl's cousin. The message included screenshots, timestamps, even surveillance stills. And it broke Rashida. "I've stood by you through everything," she allegedly screamed, "and this is how you repay me. After everything I've sacrificed for you." That was the moment things took a dark turn. According to someone inside the house, at the time believed to be their eldest son, Kirk lunged forward, not to hit, but to snatch the phone out of Rashida's hand. He was furious, like red in the face. Not drunk, but something was off, the source claimed. As Rashida recoiled, stumbling backward and knocking over a decorative glass lamp, Kai reportedly stepped in between them, shouting for his father to stop. But the damage had already been done. The sound of glass shattering rang through the house, followed by Rashida's anguished cry and Kirk's heavy breathing. The neighbors, now fully awake and alarmed, began calling 911. One even filmed from their second-story window as blue and red lights lit up the quiet cul-de-sac just 15 minutes later. Police arrived at exactly 12:07 a.m. Officers described the scene as emotionally volatile and physically hazardous. With both parties visibly distraught, Rashida had a gash on her forearm, likely from the broken lamp, while Kirk appeared to have blood on his shirt, not hers, but his own, possibly from a cut sustained during the scuffle. Kai was pacing near the stairs, screaming at the officers to do something, while younger members of the family were reportedly ushered upstairs by a relative who had rushed over upon hearing the news. The officers initially attempted to de-escalate the situation, but Rashida, though shaken, was firm. "He put his hands on me," she said through tears, according to one body cam recording that has yet to be released to the public. "He crossed a line. And I'm done." That was all the officers needed. Kirk was placed under arrest on the spot, handcuffed and escorted to the police cruiser in front of a growing crowd of concerned neighbors and blinking camera flashes. The moment has already become a meme online, with fans reacting in horror and disbelief. Not Kirk, after all these years. One viral tweet read, "If Rashida finally walking away, hell really must be freezing over." But the arrest was only the beginning. Because as Kirk sat in the back of that police vehicle, staring blankly ahead, sources say something inside Rashida broke for good. The woman who had spent years fighting for her marriage, defending her husband in public even when privately in pain, was no longer crying. She was stone-faced, calm even as if a storm had passed through and left nothing but debris. But not everyone in the family was ready to accept what had just happened. Word of Kirk's arrest spread quickly, with several cast members from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta showing up at the Frost residence within the hour. Erica Dixon, known for her own explosive history with drama, arrived with her camera crew, demanding answers. Candy Burruss, ever the peacemaker, arrived shortly after to comfort Rashida, while Mama D was reportedly outside causing a scene, shouting about how this generation don't know nothin' about loyalty. The driveway had turned into a circus, with paparazzi arriving by 2:30 a.m. and helicopters circling above by sunrise. Still, inside the house, Rashida remained composed. She'd already begun drafting a statement, not for the public, but for her children, one that explained why, after all the pain, all the fighting, all the rebuilding, she was finally choosing herself. But just as she sat down to write, her phone lit up a known number. She hesitated, then answered. The voice on the other end, was the young woman the same aspiring rapper who had been linked to Kirk? And what she said next would change everything? Rashida froze, the phone trembling slightly in her hand, as the voice on the other end said quietly, "I didn't know he was still married. I swear." For a moment, Rashida didn't respond. The silence stretched, thick with disbelief. Then came the girl's trembling confession, raw and rapid. "He told me you two were just business partners. That the relationship was over, but y'all had to keep up. Y'all had to keep appearances for the brand. He said you slept in separate rooms. That he was lonely." The words hit like bullets. Rashida gritted her teeth, every muscle in her body stiffening. Not because she was surprised, no, she'd heard enough of Kirk's lies over the years to know his game, but because this time, he'd weaponized their healing, their mutual effort to move forward, to rebuild after the cheating scandals and public embarrassment, had become ammunition for yet another betrayal. The young woman, who identified herself as Malia, begged for understanding. "Please don't blame me. I'm not trying to ruin your life. I thought you should know. I didn't want to be the reason your family got hurt." But Rashida didn't want apologies. She wanted truth. Real, ugly, undeniable truth. "Did he ever hit you?" she asked bluntly. There was a pause, then a whisper. "No, but he yelled. A lot. And once he threw my phone against the wall." That was all Rashida needed to hear. She ended the call, her heart pounding like a war drum. At that moment, her phone buzzed again, this time from Kai. He'd gone down to the station, furious and confused. "They're saying Dad might get out on bail tonight," he said. "They're already doing damage control. His lawyer's down here spinning the story, saying you overreacted." And just like that, the second wave of betrayal hit. Not just from Kirk, but from a system Rashida had trusted to protect her. She looked around her once beautiful home, now scattered with broken glass, smeared makeup, and fragments of a life she'd worked so hard to keep together. In the midst of this, her publicist called, frantically whispering, "TMZ got the arrest footage. They're gonna release it at noon. You need to get ahead of this." Rashida Say something, anything before the narrative spins out of control. But Rashida wasn't interested in playing the media game. Not this time. She didn't want to post a black and white notes app apology, or a carefully filtered selfie with a vague caption about healing and boundaries. She wanted the world to see the mess, to feel the truth. She called Mona Scott-Young, executive producer of Love and Hip Hop, directly. Roll the cameras, she said. Come to my house. Today, I want to say it on record. I want people to see what he did. Mona, ever the queen of reality drama, didn't miss a beat. By 9 a.m., a small crew had assembled outside the Frost residence. Cameras rolling as Rashida, makeup smeared and hair undone, walked out onto her front porch. She stood tall, clutching a printed screenshot of Malia's messages and holding up a framed photo from her wedding to Kirk, this same photo that used to hang in their bedroom. "This is who I thought I married," she said, voice cracking but steady. "And this is who he turned out to be." She paused, looking straight into the lens. "I'm done hiding. I'm done making excuses for a man who never truly chose me. Let the world see what love turned into when loyalty ran out." The footage was raw, unfiltered, and instantly viral. Within hours, hashtags like #Justice for Rasheeda and #Kirk cancelled were trending. Celebrities chimed in. Cardi B tweeted, "Rashida been too solid for too long. She deserved better." Tamar Braxton called it a heartbreaking but necessary wake-up call for women everywhere. Even Tommy Roman reposted the clip, adding, "This is what strength looks like. Not silence. Not smiles." But Kirk wasn't done yet. From behind bars, his team released a statement denying any physical violence and accusing Rashida of orchestrating a media stunt to boost her brand. The audacity shocked fans, who flooded the Frost Bistro's Yelp page with one-star reviews and angry comments. But the real twist came when Jasmine Washington, the woman at the center of Kirk's earlier paternity scandal, broke her silence after years of staying low. In an emotional Instagram Live, she revealed that Kirk had never stopped contacting her. He'd show up at my door, drunk, crying, saying Rashida didn't understand him, she said. "I told him to leave me alone. I didn't want no part of that mess again." Now, Rashida wasn't just dealing with infidelity. She was staring down a pattern, a cycle. A man who had manipulated multiple women, lied to his children, and now when caught was playing the victim. The final straw came when Rashida's own mother, Ms. Shirlene, publicly slammed Kirk during a heated interview with The Breakfast Club. "I told my daughter years ago that man wasn't no good," she said, but she wanted to believe in fairy tales. She wanted to believe love could fix a narcissist. That word narcissist set the internet ablaze. Fans began dissecting old episodes, revisiting scenes of Kirk gaslighting Rashida, questioning her intuition, dismissing her pain. Clips resurfaced of her crying in confessionals while he shrugged off accountability. And the more people watched, the more the mask slipped. What had once been framed as normal relationship struggles now looked like a calculated campaign of control, emotional manipulation, and public image management. By the end of that day, Rashida had filed a restraining order. She'd also contacted her legal team to begin divorce proceedings, but perhaps most shocking of all, she made a bold announcement via her Instagram stories. The relaunch of her fashion line would be accompanied by a tell-all documentary titled Still I Rose, The Rashida Story. The trailer featured clips of her walking through her shattered home, intercut with scenes from her wedding, Kirk's arrest, and her confessional porch interview. The voiceover, her own, powerful and raw. "You can love someone to death and still lose yourself in the process. This time, I choose me." And just like that, Rashida wasn't just a woman scorned, she was a phoenix rising from the ashes. But little did she know, the drama was far from over. Because, as the sun set on Atlanta, Kirk Frost was being released on bail. And what he did next would shock the world all over again. The doors of the Fulton County Detention Facility creaked open just after 6 p.m. And out stepped Kirk Frost, head down, sunglasses on, flanked by his longtime attorney and a bodyguard. Cameras flashed instantly. Reporters swarmed. Microphones pushed toward his face. But Kirk said nothing, at least, not at first. For a man who just spent the night behind bars amid accusations of domestic assault and a social media wildfire painting him as the villain, his silence was deafening. That silence, however, lasted barely an hour. Because once he returned to a hidden Airbnb on the outskirts of Atlanta, having been advised not to return to the Frost family home due to the restraining order. Kirk did something no one expected. He went live on Instagram. The screen lit up with a shaky view of his face, eyes bloodshot, jaw tight. "I know y'all think y'all know what happened," he began, voice low. "But y'all don't. Y'all just running with whatever Rashida want y'all to believe? But I'd been disrespected in my own home for years." Viewers were stunned. Was this a confession, a meltdown, or just another manipulative tactic? "I ain't put my hands on nobody," he continued. "She came at me with that phone in my face, screaming, accusing me, trying to humiliate me again. I tried to grab the phone. Yeah, I did, but I ain't hit her. I would never." The comments section exploded. Some fans defended him, saying the media always vilifies black men before the truth comes out. Others tore him apart. "You cheated, lied, disrespected her for decades." One commenter wrote, "You lucky she ain't hit you." But Kirk wasn't done. "And that girl y'all talking about," he said, referring to Malia. "She's a liar, a fan, somebody I tried to help. Now she trying to flip it like we had something. Man, miss me with that." But while Kirk ranted online, Rashida was moving in silence with precision. Her legal team had already filed an emergency custody petition regarding their shared assets and the business they'd built together. Frost Bistro was temporarily shut down as ownership and management were frozen pending legal review. Rashida also pulled her name from several joint ventures, issuing a public statement. "I will no longer be affiliated with any business involving Mr. Frost. My focus is on rebuilding, not restoring a lie." Back at the Airbnb, Kirk watched in disbelief as clip after clip of Rashida's documentary teaser dominated headlines. In one moment, she's seen holding their wedding photo, then dropping it to the floor in slow motion. "This ain't real," he muttered to his attorney. "She's using this to launch her comeback. This is a setup," but the public wasn't buying it. Even major blogs like The Shade Room, Baller Alert, and Bosup ran headlines like, "Rashida finally walks, fans say it's 10 years too late," and Kirk's cry for sympathy falls flat as receipts pile up. Meanwhile, inside Rashida's home, the mood had shifted from grief to determination. Her mother, Ms. Shirlene, had taken charge, reorganizing Rashida's glam room into a war room: papers, court filings, press schedules, and upcoming brand launches. "Baby, we gon' turn this pain into power," she said, gently dabbing at her daughter's cheek. "Ain't nobody breaking you. Not again." But the real emotional twist came when Rashida sat down with her two sons to explain the situation. Cameras caught the intimate moment part of the documentary. Kai, still visibly angry, asked, "So this time, is it really over?" Rashida nodded slowly. "It has to be. For me, for you, for your little brother. I can't keep showing y'all that love means sacrifice without safety. That ain't love. That's survival." Her words hit deep hand, not just for her sons. Fans watching the leaked clip online said it was the most raw and real moment Rashida's ever shared. As the days passed, Kirk tried to fight back publicly and legally. He filed a countersuit accusing Rashida of defamation, claiming her documentary was a malicious portrayal of events meant to damage his career. But the suit was weak, and insiders say even his legal team advised against it. His publicist, in a leaked phone call, was heard saying, "This is a PR nightmare. You look guilty. Every move you make just confirms it." Then came the bombshell twist no one saw coming. Malia, the aspiring rapper at the center of the scandal, announced that she was pregnant. In a tearful livestream, she held up a positive test and whispered, "I don't know if it's his, but it might be." The internet exploded. Within minutes, #KirkFrostBabygate was trending. Rashida, upon hearing the news, reportedly collapsed into a chair, shaking her head. "Of course he did," she muttered, numb. But she didn't break down. She stood up, she went live. Her video, titled simply "My Truth," garnered over 12 million views in 24 hours. "I've spent years swallowing pain for the sake of public image, for family, for business. I've forgiven things most people would never tolerate, but I won't wear shame that isn't mine." Her voice shook only once. To any woman watching this, please understand, you can love someone, raise children with them, build a life, and still have to walk away for your sanity. And that's okay. The video ended with a photo of her and her sons, smiling, arm in arm, captioned, "We rise." But the saga wasn't quite over. That very night, Kirk tried to force contact. Despite the restraining order, he showed up outside the home pacing, shouting, begging to see the kids. Police were called again. This time, officers didn't play. He was cuffed, charged with violating the order, and taken back into custody. And this time, there were no tears, no publicist, no live stream, just silence. Word of his second arrest spread like wildfire. Fans were shocked, hurt, and exhausted. But Rashida, she was done. Her final post of the night was just 3 words: "Let healing begin." The morning after Kirk's second arrest, Atlanta was buzzing with a sense of finality. What had started as another headline-grabbing fight between reality TV's most complicated couple had now morphed into a public reckoning. Kirk Frost wasn't just facing accusations, he was facing charges. And this time, the justice system wasn't playing favorites. Rashida, meanwhile, had entered a new phase of her life. The cameras were still rolling, but they were no longer documenting a storyline crafted for reality television. They were capturing a woman on the brink of emancipation, standing tall in the ruins of a broken love. Inside the courtroom, the tension was palpable. Rashida arrived, flanked by her legal team, dressed not for pity but power: black blazer, minimal makeup, no theatrics. Kirk, in contrast, was escorted in from the holding area, looking tired and drawn. A man rapidly losing his grip on the empire he once controlled. The judge, stern and visibly annoyed at the media frenzy, wasted no time reviewing the list of violations. In addition to the initial domestic battery allegations, Kirk was now facing charges of violating a restraining order, harassment, and potential witness intimidation after leaked DMs surfaced showing him messaging Malia, begging her to fix this and tell them what really happened. As Rashida sat listening to the charges, her face remained unreadable, but those closest to her knew this wasn't about revenge. This was about release. For over 2 decades, she had been the anchor holding a sinking ship. No more. When the judge asked if she wanted to speak, Rashida stood and took a deep breath. "Your Honor," she began, "I'm not here to destroy a man. I'm here to protect myself. And my children. I've tolerated more than most, forgiven more than I should have, and stayed longer than was safe. This isn't a storyline. This is my life, and I'm asking you to help me reclaim it." The courtroom was silent. Even Kirk looked stunned. He expected anger, fire, maybe even humiliation, but what Rashida gave him was grace, soaked in truth, power, and heartbreak. The judge nodded solemnly and granted a full protective order, extended for 1 year, while setting a trial date for the pending charges. Kirk was released on bond, but under strict limitations. No contact with Rashida or the children, no access, 2 shared businesses, and mandatory anger management sessions. Back at home, Rashida exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. Her team immediately began damage control, not just for her public image, but for the empire she planned to rebuild. Her fashion line's relaunch was moved up, now rebranded as Still I Rose, echoing Maya Angelou's resilience and Rashida's own journey. The press went wild. Vogue called it a phoenix moment. BET offered her a prime-time documentary deal. Netflix even reached out about a potential limited series. But more than the fame, what resonated with fans was the message. Rashida had become a symbol of endurance, survival, and transformation. Meanwhile, Kirk was unraveling. With mounting legal fees, frozen assets, and a public image in flames, he tried one last desperate move, reaching out to their mutual industry friends, begging them to set up a peace meeting. But no one wanted to touch the situation. Not after Rashida's story went viral. Not after Jasmine and Malia both came forward with eerily similar accounts of emotional manipulation and control. Not after Love and Hip Hop producers officially cut ties with Kirk, stating, "We support our cast members' safety. Abuse has no place on our platform." In a final, humiliating twist, Kirk's parents spoke to the press, revealing details that only added to the public's fury. His mother, in tears, said, "We love our son, but he's lost himself. Rashida was the best thing that ever happened to him, and he threw it all away." That quote alone became a trending meme. Screenshots of Rashida's past tears were now being reframed as moments of strength. "She ain't crying no more," fans wrote. "She rising." As the weeks rolled on, Rashida prepared for the final court appearance, a financial settlement, hearing to dissolve their shared assets. The courtroom once again filled with media, but this time, Rashida didn't bring her legal team alone. She brought Kai, her oldest son, now standing beside her, not as a child, but as a man. "I'm here to speak for my mom," Kai said in court, voice steady. "I watched her sacrifice everything for our family. I watched her cry behind doors while pretending to be strong on camera. I'm here to say she deserves peace. She deserves to get what she built." The judge agreed. The ruling awarded Rashida full ownership of Frost Bistro, full creative control over their fashion and cosmetics lines, and sole custody of their minor child. Kirk was ordered to pay spousal support and relinquish any claim to her post-marital business ventures. The courtroom erupted not in cheers, but in a deep, collective exhale. Justice, at least in part, had been served. Outside the courthouse, Rashida gave one final statement. "This isn't the end of a marriage. It's the beginning of new chapter. I'm not bitter, I'm not broken. I'm just free." Then she walked to her car, hand in hand with her son, leaving behind the weight of decades. But perhaps the most poetic ending came days later, when a clip from her new documentary aired nationally. In it, Rashida stands alone in her boutique, adjusting a mannequin wearing a bold crimson jumpsuit, the same color she wore the day she filed for divorce. She looks into the camera, calm and radiant. "I was never just a wife. I was never just a storyline. I am the brand. I am the builder. I am the story." And with that, the screen fades to black. And just like that, one of reality TV's most complicated love stories has reached a stunning, heartbreaking, and empowering conclusion. Rashida didn't just walk away, she rose, stronger, wiser, and unapologetically free. Kirk Frost, once the smooth-talking businessman with a family, empire and reality TV fame, now finds himself at the center of one of the most dramatic falls from grace Atlanta's ever seen. From betrayal to breakdowns, from tears to triumph, this story wasn't just entertainment, it was a wake-up call. A woman who spent years silenced by loyalty finally found her voice, and the world listened. But now, it's your turn. What do you think? Was this the justice Rashida deserved? Do you believe Kirk's version of events, or do you think his downfall was a long time coming? Is there any path back for him, or is this truly the end of the Frost legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because we know you've got opinions. And if you've ever found yourself in a relationship where love felt more like survival, Rashida's journey might hit close to home. So go ahead, hit that like button if you're standing with Rashida. Smash subscribe if you want more deep dives into the real drama behind the headlines. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell, because trust us, the tea never stops pouring here. Whether it's celebrity betrayals, reality TV twists, or untold truths, we bring you the stories that everyone is talking about, only with a little more fire, a lot more heart, and all the messy emotional layers they try to hide. Until next time, keep watching, keep questioning, and remember, in the world of fame and feelings, nothing is ever as it seems. Stay tuned, stay savage, and stay in the drama.